who unfortunately passed away this week. So I figured this was the beginning of Dylan Knows. Those who might not know this song, it was in the movie Notting Hill, and it's one of the more famous songs of our time. And Bill Withers will be missed. He's a guy who also wrote Lean on Me, and there's a couple other ones. I have that written down later on in here. Where do I have death? Bill Withers passed away, wrote Ain't No Sunshine She's Gone, Lean on Me, Lonely Day are some of his big hits there. I figured that would be an appropriate song to begin with. Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Dylan Knows. Brand new, still under quarantine, lockdown, whatever you want to call it. This is episode 343, Palms for the Lockdown. Now, the reason why I call that is because tomorrow, Sunday, April 5th, is Palm Sunday, which for Catholics like myself is the beginning of Holy Week. Now, unfortunately, this Holy Week is going to be a lot more harder, depressing, whatever you want to call it, than usual. Holy Week is that period of time where it is the ending of his next Sunday, but Easter season itself goes pretty much all the way through May, ending with Jesus, going up into heaven after hanging around for a while after he has passed away. Now, this is the beginning of Sunday is the beginning of Holy Week, as I mentioned. Tomorrow is Palm Sunday. Normally what we do on Palm Sunday, if we were going to church, is they would read the actual Passion of the Christ. It's not your normal Mass. So it starts off with the typical opening stuff, and then they spend the majority of the Mass reading the Passion of the Christ. And then it's a really long story. So you have three different people doing the reading so that one person isn't fully worn out by it. And then what's really cool about it is, everybody gets the palms and everybody gets the water spread on them, and they all get praised and stuff like that. But what's really neat is at the end, which is to mark the end of the end of Mass and the beginning of Holy Week, the priests leave once everyone said goodbye, and the blessing. The priests get up and they just walk out. No procession, whatever, just walk out. And as they walk out, drums beat to denote the beginning of Holy Week. And so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is just more Holy Week stuff. The stories about, Palm Sunday is basically when Jesus enters into Jerusalem and his week before he passed away. It's sort of like Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me, which is the last week of Laura Palmer's life. This is basically the last week of Jesus's life. Is he on them and preaching and stuff like that? Thursday, this upcoming Thursday, is going to be Maundy Thursday, which is the Last Supper. With the Last Supper, they have the Last Supper, and then after the Last Supper is when Jesus gets betrayed by Judas. That leads to Good Friday, where Jesus is brought before Pontius Pilate, who tried to save him, but other than that, he's not much he can do. His hands are tied, so he ends up having him get crucified. So he gets crucified and dies. And then Easter Saturday is the time when nothing happens in the Catholic Church. Once Jesus is dead, the Catholic Church basically shuts down for almost 24 hours. So you cannot enter the churches. The churches are dark. And it's sort of a solemn time. And then Saturday night usually is the beginning of the Easter Vigil, where if you have spent your time going through the sacraments, which right now I can't think of right now. I went through it myself, but you do that. You get baptized and all that stuff, and then at least Easter Sunday, where Jesus is risen, and celebration of everything. It becomes a happy, cheery, lots of singing, stuff like that. And then Easter, as I said, goes on until about the end of May with Jesus' ascension to heaven. But during that time is when he visits the apostles in his new form, shows off his scars, the Doubting Thomas stories and stuff like that. So it's pretty good. So it's an interesting week for Catholics to start off. So here we are. One of the been faithful watchers of the show, they've known for the longest time that I used to drink Bing. And then when the Food Lion, was like 2 or 3 years ago, changed over to Weiss, they didn't do Bing anymore, and I had to find a new drink. So I tried a few things, and I've been drinking my iced tea. But now I went into Weiss, my once a week grocery shop, keeping my lockdown, quarantine as best I can, but still got to get stuff to do. So I go in there, and there's cases of, like, for dinner and for lunch and stuff like that, and I can drink this for the show and whenever I want something refreshing. Now, I had one on Thursday night. I get to sleep because I drank it at 11 o'clock at night, or 10 o'clock at night, and it's full of, it's basically kind of an energy drink. It's a B vitamins, vitamin C, caffeine, and ginseng beverage. So this one there's a blackberry one, a Bing cherry one, and I had the raspberry one. So since I had had it for a while, I think my body was like, whoa, what the hell is this? And got it all excited and kept me up. And then in the end, it's caused me not to sleep too well that day. But things have been going okay. Still temporarily laid off. Was able to got for them in the foreseeable future. So now my money to come from unemployment now. So hopefully I'll get the check for unemployment soon, and then I'll be able to claim this past week's, next week, so on and so forth, till I get rehired. I have a 10-week window because during the time of this, I don't have to look for another job, because normally you would have to look for a job if you're on unemployment, despite what people believe. It's the law. And if you do not make any job attempts, they will call you on it, and they will cancel your unemployment if you do not look for a job. So despite all people saying, oh, it's just a handout, people on unemployment, they don't do anything for it. Well, yeah, every week they have to do at least 3 job attempts, and they have to register them. And if they don't, the unemployment office is going to be like, what's going on? And they're not going to be too excited about that. But we're not going to talk about that anymore. So we'll see what's going on. But that's what's going on here. Everyone else seems to be okay right now. As of now, we have no issues. And my wife was able to FaceTime with her family yesterday for I think she's going for a Pokemon walk, because she hasn't gotten her Pokestop. Oh, well. Thanks, hon. You want to take mine? You can. She's gone. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. It's the middle of the night. Anyway, so that was nice, and I came up with the idea, and we'll see if it happens, to have a virtual Easter dinner next Sunday, because next Sunday is Easter Sunday. So next week's episode, Dylan Knows, will depend when it is. Maybe I'll take the weekend off. I don't know. I have an extra episode in my pocket from this week when I did my Academy Award prediction show, and then a regular show right after it. I do have an extra week in my pocket, so if I need to take a vacation, I could. It depends. It all depends, because we are still going to be inviting the Easter Bunny into our house and helping him hide the kids' baskets. So we're going to do that on Saturday night before Easter. We will, of course, not be able to go to church because it is quarantine time. You cannot go to church. It's the law. Despite what other people are saying. We'll see later in the episode here. So I think I've done my 9.5-minute chit chat here. And actually, Palm Sunday was one about what you're going to be hearing about here on Dylan Knows episode 343. What's that called the episode again? I forgot what they called the episode. Whatever. You know it. You love it. You can't live without it. This is Dylan Knows. I used to have merch. Not anymore, but I do. I dug this out because I straightened up my comics this week as well. But one of the interesting things, I won't have to do it again. Hell with it. I'm just going to go right into it. So you're not going to find out what we're going to talk about until I talk about it. So I better not, because I'm going to lose my viewer. We're going to talk about there's new film dates. There's a whole bunch of new film dates that have been pushed back. There's going to be talking about movie theaters. A bunch more people famous people have the COVID-19. There are some good stories that I'm going to talk about more death that is not associated to COVID-19. We're going to talk about some signs that the Earth is actually, is recovering or is getting better due to the COVID-19. About another Kennedy death, some new pops we'll talk about, a new movie-based game, which actually, think about it, I actually want to buy. It's coming out this summer. I'll let you know more about that. And again, I can't read a lot of my stuff, but hopefully I'll be able to do the stuff. More and more thing, as I said, good things about COVID-19. J.K. Rowling created something that people have been wanting for a while, and now your chance to do it. It was bound to happen. The first babies have been born and have names that are newsworthy, I should say. And I guess there's some other stuff as well. Steven Spielberg's in the news. Not know was a thing. The United States Postal Service is in danger. A Los Angeles Dodgers third baseman has an interesting idea for extra innings. Could baseball have found its opening day? And a whole lot more. And Liberty University is ironic. Trying to say this, and I was like, nah, you better do this. One thing that I have been doing on my laid off, furlough, whatever you want to call it, time off, is I've been getting back into reading again. I've been doing a pretty good job of my reading, and I finished my Skinwalker, Search for the Skinwalker on Skinwalker Ranch, or Counter Skinwalker Ranch, whatever it was called. I forget what it's called. But I finished that. Actually, this is ridiculous. I can't remember what I literally just finished the other day, so I'm just going to go to my Goodreads. It was Hunt for the Skinwalker, Science Confronts the Unexplained in a Remote Ranch in Utah. I finished reading that. I finished reading When the Irish Invaded Canada, the incredible. And so, I've been doing a lot of good reading. And what I've also been doing is I've been catching up on books that, Goodreads is a great app, social app. If you're a reader, you can set a goal for yourself. I want to read 30 books in a year. And so you keep track of that. You can write reviews of the books you read. You can interact with people online if you want to. It's a social networking, but it's about books. So it's kind of neat. And I've been on it for a few years now. So there have been lots of books that I started reading, and then for whatever reason, I just stopped reading. Life intrude on stuff or work or whatever, and I just never got around to it. And then new books came into view that I would prefer to read. So I would read them instead and finish them before I finished these books I'd already started. Periodically, I would go back and I'd look at and reread parts of the books that I haven't read for a while. They're all on the table next to me, on the couch. So what I've decided now to do is I have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I have 13 books presently that I have as being currently reading. One of which, the Bruce Campbell I'm looking at, that I might be able to finish sooner than later. But then there are ones that I'm like, okay, I should probably get back and restart that I want to read. So I'm probably going to cover more of the ones that I already have here before I delve into any of the new books that I've gotten. But I might change my mind, obviously, again in a second. But the Irish Invaded Canada book was actually really interesting, a aspect of history I was not aware of. The Irish, trying to fight back against England's control of their country, decided the easiest way to do that would be, instead of massing an army and having it go across the Atlantic Ocean and then attacking Ireland, attacking the English on Irish soil, would be to maybe tackle something a little bit closer to home and try to do a trade-off. So at the time, Canada was still considered property of the English. So the Irish decided they were going to invade Canada, and they did it 5 times over a span of about, I'd say about 20 years. And during all that time, only once did they hold position for 3 days. That was about it. Every other time was quick and out. A lot of it had to do with the United States trying not, at that point, the United States really didn't care that they were doing it, didn't go out of their way to stop them, because this was right after the Civil War when this happened, and the English were backing the South because they were angry with the North for the whole American Revolution thing, and they wanted the South to win, so that if the South won, they would have a better chance of maybe getting back into American politics through the South instead of the North, because there was no way the North was going to allow them back in, any Northern troops. So once the Union was saved, there were still people who were bitter about that, and they believed that England never fully apologized or gave them compensation correctly. So instead, they decided, hey, actually, I'm going to see if I can get her. Excuse me a second. I just thought of this. They said, hey, why don't we invade Canada? or the Irish would say, let's invade Canada, let's hold them hostage, and then we will let them go. We'll let Canada go if they let Ireland go. And that was their plan. The U.S. government was like, do whatever you want. But soon enough, they had to start making, deals or whatever. And eventually the Americans had to go to the aid of Canada and help screw the Irish a few times from happening as well. Times that if there was two things that could have gone one way or another, the Irish might have actually succeeded. And the book explains, how that could have happened. But at the same time, you're like, but this is why it didn't happen. So... Sorry, I'm texting my wife. Because she does have my Pokemon Go on her phone, because that way she can use me for raids if they need extra hands, and I'm not actually there. So quite really well-written book, very informative, and being a history buff, it's actually really kind of a neat little thing to learn. So that's really cool. The Hunt for the Skinwalker was interesting. I wrote a review about that. It's divided into 3 parts. The first part is the owners of the ranch and the experiences they had. Then they had enough. They called NIDS, which is a scientific group, which is backed by a businessman who only interested is to just learn about stuff. So he gave them lots of money and equipment, stuff like that, to do stuff. So NIDS consists of a number of different science going on themselves. They got some of the stuff, but nothing quite as much as the guy who owned it previously. And then the third part was the part that lost me a little bit, was the more scientific study about it, what their conclusions were about it and what could be causing these issues. It got to be really technical and glazed over. And there were a number of times I was trying to finish the book and I fell asleep reading 1 or 2 pages because it was so technical and stuff like that. But there is a show, I believe, on the History Channel now, which is based on this, which is I guess a new current investigation of the ranch, and now instead they're doing it as a TV show. So we'll see what happens. So some good books, and then as I said, I'm finishing up Bruce Campbell's 3rd book, his 2nd memoir. This one is Hail to the Chin. His 2nd book was a fiction story, and then the 3rd one was continuing the memoir. So it leads up to where he's been. It's going to end, I think, with the Ash vs. Evil Dead TV show that was on Starz a few years ago. But Bruce Campbell has a very easy, breezy way of writing. It covers what I like in biographies and stuff like that. He goes into detail about a lot of certain things. He sets certain chapters about certain parts of his life, like his chapters about the movie he directed called films, including the Spider-Man movies. And then, as I said, Ash vs. Evil Dead, he discusses time about what the conventions are like. He talks about his new homestead in Oregon, which is really interesting as well, and just all kinds of neat little things here and there. And it's a very well written, very breezy, very self-referential, kind of hilarious at a certain point, bits that are really interesting, and it's very well written. I've always loved Bruce Campbell. On the Edge, I said I have all these other books I need to read. There's one I'm thinking about restarting and reading over. That might be my next one, but I'm trying to read a couple concurrently, so we'll see what happens. So that's what I'm doing with that. So now we're going to get into the rest of well, people who know me know that I like Hawaiian shirts. Now there's a company that will put your face on Hawaiian shirts. So if you want to have your face on a Hawaiian shirt, I guess you send in a picture and they are able to put it into the shirt itself, and very cool, right? So that's kind of neat. The evangelicals are really going absolutely crazy during this whole thing. They don't in this COVID outbreak, which I'll talk to you a little bit more about this stuff, but there's one guy who claims that if you have faith in God, he will multiply your toilet paper rolls. So you have them. You also have the evangelicals who are going through their television saying, COVID-19, through the grace of God, be gone. All right, it's gone. So COVID-19 is not a problem anymore. So I don't know why we're still under quarantine if that's the case, because these guys say that it has been eradicated. So it's dangerous to have these thoughts. I love you, God, but I also know that you have a lot of other issues on your plate rather than if I have enough toilet paper, which on the 13th of March, we're now on April 4th, I bought a pack of, at that time yet, I bought the Friday before, and we literally just opened it like third. You're a bunch of assholes and not letting anyone else get some. So we just opened it up now, so we will need a roll eventually, but here's the problem. Now there's no place you can get it now. I wouldn't hoard it. I would probably buy another pack of 10, maybe 2 just in case, because I know that this hoarding is taking place. I might buy 2, so we have like 20 rolls. And again, as I said, from March 13th to about April 1st, we did not have to deal with any toilet paper issues. And now we do. So we finally have to open a pack that I got, and it's a 10 pack, and it's a big one. So I think that's going to last us for another couple weeks anyway but I want to just have the toilet paper on hand just in case. And as I said, I'm not going to be the hoarder. I'll grab one, or most stores now are going to allow 2 per person, and that's it. So we'll see. I might just Godzilla Monopoly is now a thing. Unfortunately, it's probably just like regular Monopoly. Instead, would be kind of cool is that if Godzilla, but that's not the case. But there's a Monopoly for everything, so why not Godzilla Monopoly? Speaking of Godzilla, a homemade film from 1991 has been dusted off and has been put online and viral recently. It is a Godzilla homemade movie where one person plays Godzilla. And he also he plays every character in the movie. He plays Godzilla. He plays the giant robot that fights Godzilla. He plays Ultraman. He plays the sergeants, generals, the army generals who talk, these pylons, and then he is the pylons, and they get knocked over and fall over. So it's clever if you can dig it up and find it out, if it's on YouTube, or I think I saw it on Facebook, and I shared it on my page. But it's classic. It's not too long, and I didn't copy them, but I think there's some other comp news. Yeah, there's the Comic Hub stuff, but I'll get to that in a little bit. But this is the really interesting. This is something that's really, really cool. Sotheby's, which is the auction house, is introducing the Ian Levine collection, which is, and this is very impressive, I have to say. Every DC comic from 1935 through 2016 to 2016 is in the collection. And you know what that includes? That includes Detective Comics 27, which is the first appearance of a certain character by the name of Batman. Action Comics #1, which is the first appearance of a certain character by the name of Batman. Action Comics #1, which is the first appearance of a character named Superman. Temporary DC characters introduction is in this auction. Every comic from 1935 through 2016, every single DC comic. Can you even imagine? It's close to 40,000, I think it's more than that, more than 40,000 comics on sale. Every single comic from 1935 to 2016 DC comic is in this auction. And I'm dying to find out how much it's going to go for, because this could be close to, it could be like a $100 million auction. Every single DC comic published. I don't know if Crisis on Infinite Earths miniseries, all the big stuff from DC, Dark Knight Returns, Batman Year One, all the big sorts, Watchmen, Camelot 3000, all these books are in this auction, and it is absolutely mind-blowingly crazy that this is actually going to happen. And it is probably, to me, the coolest news of the day is here we are 30 minutes in, I'm finally getting to it. So to be continued, though, let us know how much it went for and stuff like that. If you want to see every comic that's in that auction, I think you go to Sotheby's and you look for the Ian Levine collection, and it'll list every comic that's for sale, or for auction, I should say. A Florida sheriff arrests a pro-megachurch pastor for violating social distancing orders. This is the first of a couple of stories, which I'll get to later on, of, as again I said, these evangelical pro-Trump priests who are ignoring the lockdown social distancing rules to throw their tribe or their congregation into the possibly getting COVID-19, and because they're not doing social distancing because they want to screw the liberals over. So suck it to the liberals. Let's get sick and die, and that'll really make the liberals go, whoa. Man dresses up like a bush to sneak out during COVID-19 lockdown. People do get stir crazy. They want to get out of here. They want to get out of business. So this guy dresses up as a bush to try to get out of the house during lockdown. So I guess that's one way you can do it. In some local news, a Baltimore Amazon warehouse, about a bunch of other Amazon warehouses that had people get sick. Well, the first one in Baltimore has COVID-19, so we do have it local now. I have someone I used to work with at the place I got laid off at. Her fiance works at Amazon, so I don't know how that's going down now, what's going to happen with that. Traces of an ancient rainforest have been discovered in Antarctica, of all places. So I thought it was anyway. I wonder if she just saw my text and is going back out to get it done. Oh well, we'll find out sooner or later. If she does, she does. If she doesn't, she doesn't. It's not a big deal. Astronaut P could be a great building material for future moon bases. Yes, you heard that right. Astronaut P could be good for future moon landing for moon bases on the moon. I should name this episode Astronaut P. This is something I didn't really know about. There was a piece on Facebook about like the top 20 things that they believe are in the Vatican vaults. Now, the Vatican has vaults underneath the Vatican, which supposedly has all this crazy religious proof of things and historical documentation, stuff like that. Some say the Holy Grail is there, stuff like that. So there's all kinds of rumors flying because no one is allowed into the vaults except for the people who are part of the Vatican. And even then, I think it's really hard for them to get into that as well. So this article or whatever was postulating what could be in it, and that includes stuff like Martin Luther's letter he nailed to the door of a church, which started the Protestant movement. Other historical things, including secrets that tied one of the popes to Nazi Germany. This was an issue, was paper that has been placed so that the Catholic Church would not get into trouble for backing a homicidal maniac like Adolf Hitler. And there have been a whole bunch of other things. But the one that drew my attention most was something I never really honestly heard about before, and is something out of science fiction. So again, this is one you got to take with, a grain of salt. Again, this is just theories. They don't know what's in there, but sorry, some jelly bean bag is empty. Reasonable, that could be there. As I said, the letter that Martin Luther put nailed to the door of the church, which led the Protestant movement, that was in the 1300s. That would make sense about something you would have, and then some other stuff as well. I mean, as I said, there's and then there's the mystical stuff. I said, like the Spear of Destiny, the Holy Grail, whatever. So this fits sort of into the mystical sort of thing. Something is 92, 2002, 2012, 28 years ago. a monk claimed that he was able to witness the Last Supper of Christ, as I talked about, is going to happen on Thursday, a speech by Napoleon, and other historical figures. And he used something called chronovisor, not chronovision, chronovisor. It was a visor that they could use to peer into the past. And you're not physically going into the past like yourself, but you can look into the past. And that just seems like a really cool idea, a neat little thing that would be kind of interesting if it was true. I don't think it is, but still be kind of cool though. A half male, half female bee has been almost right down the middle. Half of it is male, half is female. So, stuff like that does apparently happen in the world, in the natural world. And on the same note, I was going through, my Facebook again this morning, and I came across a Nintendo Switch game called Bee Simulator, which came out in November of 2019. And I'd never heard of it before. It's like Bee Simulator. That sounds kind of really cool. So I clicked on a link that led to Amazon. Amazon has it for $28, which is actually reasonable for a new video game. It's not really new. I guess November isn't new. But it's Bee Simulator. And basically, it's exactly what you think it is. You play a bee, and your job is to protect the queen, and you're part of a hive in Central Park, and you have to protect your hive from humans who are thinking about cutting down the tree. You have to, your queen gives you things you have to do. You have to do them, and you get to see all this crazy stuff about what it looks like inside a beehive, and this really cool effects, and it just sounds like a really neat game. So I actually have it on my Amazon list, which hopefully once all this dies down, hopefully I'll get my job back, get my usual pay, and so on and so forth. To celebrate, I could buy the Nintendo Switch Lite, and I'll buy this game also because I want to play this game. So, but now money's a little tight, so I can't do it now, which makes me mad. Bee Simulator. Let me just see if there's anything else that... There's something else connected to Nintendo Switch, but I'm not going to do it right now because it's on like page 2 or 3. All right, so two men who went on a moose hunt in Canada. His brother went out to go hunting, and they did a moose hunt earlier in the week, and they killed a moose and brought it back. And they're like, you know what, we could probably use with 2 moose. So he and his brother went back out hunting again, and they were discovered later, shot to death. So we don't know what happened on this trek. They don't know if somebody attacked them. There's rumors that the Royal Mounted Police, the Mounties in Canada, are looking for 2 trucks, suspicious trucks that were seen in the area. They believe might have had people who were shooting them. Or another thing was the one guy who lost his job was feeling depressed and suicidal, and he might have killed his brother and himself, even though it doesn't appear that the wounds were self-inflicted. So it appears that he's been murdered. It's going to be treated as a murder as of now, but there was some, when I was reading the article, there was some thought that they kept referring to him being let go, and so that usually leads to people bars of water deep underground. NASA saying they think that might be something interesting to pop up that they discover looking. So if there is ancient reservoirs, maybe they have little lake cottages around them, and that's where they're living. Who never knows? Who knows? Pizza on a pizza slice is a thing now. I don't know exactly where it is, but basically it's a giant slice of pizza, I mean huge slice of pizza, that has smaller slice of pizza put on top of it, and so it's pizza on top of pizza. So it's it looks good. I mean, people were rolling it up and just eating it as a big stromboli, but kind of interesting. Clear jigsaw puzzle is a new thing now. There are no pictures on it, just the pieces cut out into forms, and you have to stick it together and make sure they go right. That's probably frustrating because with the pictures, you know where certain things go. Okay, this is going to be the edge, this is going to be the center, so on and so forth. These are just clear pieces that just are cut a certain way. Like, okay, I've got like 5 that look like this and like 3 that look like this that make them go, yeah, so how's it going to go? That sounds frustrating to me, but hey, it's that's good about that. A Venezuelan naval boat rams into a cruise liner trying to sink it, but ironically, it damages itself and it sinks. I don't know. I didn't read the whole story. I don't know if they were trying to stop because they thought that it was a hotbed for the virus or what. But this naval ship tried to sink a cruise ship to COVID-19. Movies have been, pushed back. You've had lots of movies get dropped from the last couple weeks, and they're feeling that this virus is not going to get under control until at least the summer. So a lot of the big tentpole movies of the summer have also shifted their dates as well. Well, Disney released a number of shifting dates, including the entirety of the Marvel Phase 4 movies, which have been some interesting changes and some so like that. Plus, there are a few other movies that have shifted as well. You've already heard about the Fast and Furious 9 has been shifted to next year for a while. So to begin with, the Marvel Phase 4 films. Black Widow was going to be the beginning of Phase 4, was supposed to come out on May 2nd. Obviously, that's not going to happen since most places have their quarantine going through the end of April. So that ain't going to happen. So instead, Marvel decided to move Black Widow to November 6th, 2020, which now is when the Eternals was supposed to come out. But now because of that, Black Widow is now going to be the only Marvel movie to come out this year and not until November, which I guess makes sense because Endgame came out last May. So, you want to have a little bit of space between Endgame and the beginning of the new stretch of movies. So you have to wait another half a year now before you get to see the first Marvel movie, and then that's the only one you get this year. But they make up for it over the next 2 years. So because of that, the Eternals has moved to February 12th, 2021, which, did pretty good for Black Panther, and the Eternals will probably do really well, and they probably will have that weekly type of thing. So that's cool. So they get the February 12th, 2021 date. That pushes Shang-Chi now to the May release, so it's on May 7th, 2021. So Shang-Chi will be released on that date. That pushes Doctor Strange down to November 5th, 2021. And that's all the Marvel movies for 2021. So that's 3 right there. I think the Spider-Man one's supposed to come. I think Spider-Man is supposed to come out in 2022 because Tom Holland was supposed to be working on another movie during this time. And if you wanted Spider-Man to come out in 2021, you need to start working on it sooner than later. So I think they're going to push that, I believe. So he's coming to do that. So he's going to have some time now to get that, but that'll give him some breathing room now. So he's got a year and a half to get that film. So here's hoping that once things supposedly clear up, hopefully in June, they can start filming the Doctor Strange. Then they can finish filming Shang-Chi. I think Eternals is done filming anyway. They just need the special effects. Black Widow obviously is done because it was supposed to be out in about a month. So, you have we'll see about that. So that leaves 2022. Thor: Love and Thunder is now set to debut on February 18th, 2022. He was supposed to come out in 2021, but now it's 2022. Black Panther 2 is still holding its date of May 6th, 2022. That has been announced, and that really hasn't changed any. And then here's a surprise. Captain Marvel 2, which has always been, we knew we were going to do it, but we didn't know we were going to place it. Well, guess what? They're going to place it on July 8th, 2022. So they get it the weekend after 4th of July in 2022. So there's your Marvel Phase 4 as of now. Supposedly, it said Spider-Man might pop up in the 2022 time frame as well. So there might be something in there coming up as well. We'll find out more about that later. Now, this was revealed a while back, but I don't think I announced it. I remembered announcing it, so I'm just going to announce it now. The live action version, which was supposed to come out on March 27th. Is now set for July 24th, 2020, which pushes Jungle Cruise, Disney's Jungle Cruise movie with The Rock, that was supposed to come out on that date, back in the whole year to July 30th, 2021. So Jungle Cruise will not be out until next summer. So that way it kind of makes sense, because then now they have a summer tentpole movie next year already in the can. So they don't have to worry about that. They can just say, there you go. And they have a tentpole there in July as well. Excuse me. Free Guy, the Ryan Reynolds film about a video game background character who becomes sentient and decides that he wants to be a hero, was supposed to be out July 4th weekend, becomes sentient and decides that he wants to be a hero. Was supposed to be out July 4th weekend. Not anymore. It is now out on December 11th, 2020. So it's moved all the way down to December. The other big tentpole movie for the year, Top Gun 2 Maverick, which was supposed to come out June 24th, I think, has now been dropped almost 6 straight months to Christmas time. It'll be out on December 23rd. So you got that as well. Indiana Jones, which was supposed to come out, I think, in 2021, but because they were getting ready to start filming this summer because of COVID-19, they probably won't for a little while, has now been pushed to July 29th, 2022. So we still got a couple more years before that comes out. Soul, the Pixar movie, is still set for its release. They're hoping that Soul might actually be the beginning of the summer movie time period. Hopefully by then they're hoping that COVID-19 is going to be done. AMC Theaters says that mid-June is probably the best time where they'll reopen, because by then the virus should have, spread out, gone its way, and hopefully, with social distancing and all the quarantine stuff like that, it should start dying down, the vaccine, stuff like that. So hopefully, if all goes according to plan, AMC is hoping that mid-June will be a time for them to reopen their theaters, and Soul is still going to hold on to its slot as of now to possibly kick off the summer movie season in June 19th, which is my birthday. So Artemis Fowl, which was supposed to be another big tentpole movie for Disney this year, they decided we're not going to even release it to theaters because I think it's already done, and they figure to keep people occupied during this time, we're going to release it to Disney Plus directly. So, plus they might not have a lot of faith in it. I don't know. We'll see. But Artemis Fowl, based on the book, to keep people occupied during this time, we're going to release it to Disney Plus directly. So, plus they might not have a lot of faith in it. I don't know. We'll see. But Artemis Fowl, based on the book series, will be released straight to Disney Plus. The date uncertain at this point. I'm sure you'll find out more about that as well. And I don't know what this French something or other movie was moved to 10/16. I don't know what that is. So those are your, as of now, the new film dates for a lot of stuff. Could stuff still change? There's a possibility. I think AMC has a good point. Vaccine for it, take care of it. So we'll see what happens. Some to find a vaccine for it, take care of it. So we'll see what happens. Some famous people who have contracted COVID-19 are as follows. Jackson Browne, the musician, has COVID-19. Christopher Cuomo, brother of the governor of New York, has COVID-19, which is the big new craze during the quarantine, which is the Tiger King thing on Netflix, which I have no desire to see. But CNN also has COVID-19. I just posted this on my page, and I don't remember what it is, but a prominent senator, I think, has passed away from it. Up then, top of my head, it's probably actually near the top. Let me see if I can find it real quick, so I don't have to worry. So you guys don't have to wait. Or did I? I should have, but I might not have posted it. I don't think I posted it. Okay, so I will probably figure it out eventually. And so on and so forth like that. So we'll see what happens. So that's on about that. This time of need, New York is the thing. You know, he's helping out in this time of need. New York is the Italy of the COVID-19 attack in the United States. It has the most cases and the most deaths right now. So that's kind of here. I will find it also. 104-year-old man has recovered from COVID-19. So again, another possible myth that has recovered from COVID-19, and a child with cystic fibrosis has recovered from COVID-19. So maybe there's good signs. A prominent baseball, football announcer who has a distinct voice, and people are sending him their sex tapes so that he will record his play-by-play for that. I find that hilarious and kind of sad. So we'll see what happens. Star Trek Discovery is the next TV series that is going to be having pop figures made. So fans of the show, you'll be able now to have your own pop figures for that show. Discovered that has fingers. So there was a fish in the old days that actually had fingers, which is kind of frightening. A lot of people say that's a good way to, if we study that, they will be able to determine how hands have formed. But a creepy extinct fish with fingers has been discovered. So yeah, great. Amazon Prime has come to the rescue. A couple weeks ago when all this started, they've shut down a lot of stuff, including the South by Southwest movie. What is it called? Like a movie, not movie marathon, but South by Southwest is a big movie thing where new movies make their debut, film festivals make their debut and stuff like that, way to get, distribution deals and stuff like that. And South by Southwest, which is in Austin, Texas, is one of the prominent ones that a lot of great movies that have jumped into the race for Best Picture, stuff like that. This is where they debuted. Well, they had to cancel it due to COVID-19, but now Amazon Prime has come to the rescue, and this is actually really kind of cool. And I wish they would do this more often. I'm not going to once all this recovers because there's no money to be made in it. But Amazon Prime is going to do a 10-day movie marathon streaming of all the films that were going to be at South by Southwest. So every film that was going to premiere at South by Southwest, you can now see for free streaming on Amazon Prime. So when they announce that, I think I'm going to check that out and definitely Oscar nominations, stuff like that. And I've never been able to see it. You always read about, the stories, and everybody's like, oh, what a great time I had, and stuff like that. Now you'll be able to see it as long as everybody else has. And it's good for everybody because then you have everybody's going to get a chance to see these films as well. Distributors are still going to see the film streaming, and they're going to say, hey, I want to buy this and let's distribute it to movie theaters. But at the same time, though, that could be an issue because, it's already streamed for free. Now, Amazon Prime might only keep it streaming during this 10-day period and then cut it off so you can't see it again. That way, distributors can buy the rights to it and then air them in the fall or winter for Oscar nomination times, stuff like that. So it's kind of a good idea like that. So once they announce when they're going to do that, I think I'm going to tune in. If I find out in the next couple of weeks, I will let you know the date so you guys can check it out for yourself as well. I think it's a great idea. Whew. Here it is. More people are interested in the new Nintendo Switch game Animal Crossing than they are sex. Which is a shame because sex is wonderful, though it's been a long time since I've had it, but we're not going to go there. But the fact that more people are interested in a video game than sex is kind of interesting. And I thought I'd bring it out there. Yeah. So over the last few months, I've been talking about movies that have been getting board games. So that one's out there as well. There's probably a few other ones that I'm missing, but those are the ones I remember most of all. Now, what's interesting about them is that I think they're all done by the same people because you're set up in Nakatomi Plaza, and you can be either the bad guys, you can be John McClane, and I have to read how to do that. I think that's separate from the other two, but the Jaws one has you can be either the bad guys, you can be John McClane, and I have to read how to do that. I think that's separate from the other two, but the Jaws one has two separate games in it, one around Amity Beach and one out in the water with Quint and Robert De Niro and Richard Dreyfuss and the share, same thing. Top Gun had an aerial dog games, 2 different ways to play it that way. Top Gun, making that up as viable match as well. Well, throw another movie into the board game sweepstakes, and this is actually a really cool idea. This game is coming out this summer, and I think I want to get it, and it is just in time for summer, I should say. Friday the 13th, the board game. In it, you play campers, then everyone who's playing gets picked as one of the, generic actors: the jock, the promiscuous one, the nerd, the survivor, the conspiracy, whatever, all the characters that you can defend yourself against Jason. But at the same time, though, you want to win the game, so you steal stuff from your friends, which is really kind of funny. But that's it. So Friday the 13th, not in the summer, though. There's only one other one, really? I thought there was more than one this year. There's only 2 this year. Yeah, the 13th is on Monday. The 13th in August is on a Thursday. The 13th in September is on a Sunday. The 13th in October is on a Tuesday. The 13th in November is on a Friday. So Friday, 13th of November, and then the 13th in December. Boom, let's release it, and hopefully it will, and I will buy it. Again, hopefully I'll have my job back. I'll have money. The India quarantine has allowed thousands of sea turtles to lay their eggs in peace without any threat of people coming and digging them up, animals eating them, whatever. So the scientists are predicting that close to 60 million sea turtle eggs, and the eggs all hatch. You have 60 million sea turtles that'll make their trek into the water. Now, not all of them obviously are going to survive because they'll get eaten and stuff like that, but that is a hell of a lot that's 30 million sea turtles. That is almost like taking a extinction. You had 30 million babies, and before you know it, it's like, no big deal. We're good. So that's one plus for the for having the first time in forever, because there's no emissions, because there are no cars out on the road, which is kind of sobering, because now you got to think about, well, obviously we're having bad emissions because we have so many cars in Los Angeles area that's causing this smog. Maybe we shouldn't do that. Smog. So to be continued. So those are kind of neat things about that. Comic Hub. This is a twofold story. Earlier in the week, Comic Hub had come up with an idea to save the comic industry. Now, last week I talked to you about Diamond Comic Distributors. They are no longer going to be, shipping comic team. They don't want their warehouse staff to get infected. They don't, and the stores. They don't want the stores to open so that people come in, and most of them are closed anyway due to the lockdowns. Because the problem is right now that a lot of these places can't afford to pay their rent and stuff like that, and their electricity, stuff like that. That's why you need to have forgiveness when it comes to this type of thing, and you should have forgiveness for that, but I don't know if it's going to happen regardless. So a lot of people are like, oh, geez, well, what are we going to do? This could destroy the comic industry as we know it. Can sell, computers. The Marvel and DC will send the digital copies to Comic Hub. The comic shops then will sell those to the comic book readers. Some at the regular price, $3.90. It would be only to help people that have subscriptions. Diamond's back to distributing stuff. They will. There's the floppy. You can have it as well for free here. You ordered this. We have it on record. You ordered it. Boom. Here's your copy of it in your hand, the floppy. Or if they're like, I'm good, I don't want the floppy, they can return it, and all is good. It makes sense. It was in the story. Not Disney, DC, Marvel, and all them. They said, no, we don't want to do that. So I don't know what the issue was, but I thought it was a good idea. It's not. Can stick together and make buildings out of. It was an actual waffle maker that has the as I said, AMC was hopeful that they might open their theaters by June. There's also a possibility that they may not survive the pandemic and might have to shut down for good. I don't quite understand how that could happen, because if they can figure out some small business issues or whatever, they can keep the company that they should be able to help people with this stuff. But the fact is, which mid-June, which makes sense, now they're like, oh, we might not be able to open at all. So that's to be continued, I hope. But they get their money from the government, stuff like that, and there have been funding breaks and stuff like that. So that could be an issue. We still have a couple months to go. Hopefully, maybe by the end of May, this can all disappear. But that could be a major issue going forward. That's something that could happen. So we'll see what happens about that. Dunkin' Donuts to close 450 stores. I don't know if it's regular stores. I thought when I read it might have been like stores that were inside of other stores. I'm not 100% certain about that, but the fact is 450 Dunkin' stores are going to be shut down. And I'm sorry for it seems like, my computer, it keeps saying on YouTube Studio that they are having trouble. Yeah, your connection is unstable. Please wait while we're try reconnecting. I don't know if this is all coming out. I don't know if that's Kentucky is putting ankle bracelets on COVID-19 patients who ignore the self-isolation rules. So if they get caught not self-isolating, they will put on ankle bracelets to make sure that they do not leave their house. And that makes, I guess, kind of sense if you're more of a lockdown situation instead of a stay-at-home situation, which is not quite the same thing. It was bound to happen, ladies and gentlemen. We didn't think it was going to happen for 9 months, but it is happening now. I guess it makes sense. And Corona and COVID of RFK's granddaughter is Kathleen Kennedy Townsend, who was Maryland's lieutenant governor for a number of years. It should have said, see how long this connection. No. Goodness. I like Peeps. A lot of people don't. But